Okay, we are moving on in our inequality unit. That's our topic. Today you're going to solve and graph inequalities, and you're going to learn what mdnf means. mdnf. You're going to figure out what that means today. But the first thing, so our last lesson, we solved one-step inequalities through adding or subtracting. That's what we did. We solved and we graphed. We can do the same thing here. So if I wanted to graph this, 3x is less than negative 9, I need to get my x alone. So this is 3 times x. How do you move times?
Divide.
So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And I get x is less than what?
Negative 3.
Yep. And now I graph. Where's my circle? At the negative 3. Open, because there's not a line under it. And less than means to the left, right? Less than means to the left. And that's my first one. Done. Nothing new. It's actually easier than adding and subtracting.
How?
Because adding and subtracting, it gets confusing.
But it's just adding, so it's easier and faster.
I disagree. I think adding, like if you had this, x plus 19 is less than or equal to negative 52. I think that's harder than this, personally. Because you got to understand your integer operations.
But what if you're trying? What if it's that you have to divide, or what if you have to divide 19 by 52? That's even harder. It
No,
takes more time.
it's not, because we won't have to. This is x over 4. How do you move, which is like x divided by 4. How do you move divide? Okay, Lydia, how do you move divide?
Multiply.
Yeah. Times both sides by 4. That cancels that 4 out. And I get x is bigger than or equal to negative 4. Where's my circle? Do I color it in?
Yes.
Because there's a line under it, color it in. Bigger. Bigger means what?
Right.
To the right. Hey, what should I do with this one, this next one? Hunter?
Divide 10 by 2.
I don't think so yet. I mean, I guess I could. Yeah, I should flip this thing.
Flip it.
Right? Hunter, I want you to. Whether you want to or not, I want you to. If it's on the right, move it to the left. So you put the 2x. Now what's facing it? The open mouth or point?
Open.
Keep the open mouth facing it. 10. Remember, I was bossy. I say you have to do this. If it's on the right-hand side, you have to put it to the left. How do you move the 2?
Divide.
X is bigger than 5. I have a circle at 5 going to the right because it's bigger. Again, first thing, I need to move this to the left-hand side. So I have 3/4 x. What's facing it? Point or open mouth? Okay. So I just heard somebody, was it you, Amanda? Remember what to do. Let's get rid of that bottom number. So you times both sides by 4, or you could times through by the reciprocal if you wanted. Times by 4. I'm going to go down here. That cancels it out, and I'm left with 3x is less than or equal to 8. Divide by 3. X is less than or equal to 8 over 3. Now watch how I graph that. It's not perfect, and don't be a perfectionist. 3 goes into 8 2 times, and then 2 remaining, so it's like 2.6-ish. So I'm just going to make a circle a little bigger than 2.5 and go to the left. So it's a rough estimate. But I do use my critical thinking that 8/3 is like 2 2/3, which is 2.6 repeating. Tatiana? So Tatiana had a great question. Can you turn this into a decimal? To help you, you can, but this is how I want your answer. Unless they give it to you as a decimal, keep it a fraction. That's the more technical way to do things. Okay. And now I think we're going to talk about mdnf. Right? If I can change pages.
Are you kidding me?
Okay. So mdnf. mdnf is this thing that you can never forget for all of high school, but it's probably something that you're going to forget almost. It's one of those things that if you don't use it, you lose it and forget all about it. But it's really important with inequalities. This means that when you solve, if you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip an inequality. So at the end, if the last thing you do is multiply or divide a negative, you have to flip the inequality. So this means multiply or divide a negative, flip inequality. Only for multiplying and dividing, not for adding or subtracting. It only works for multiplying and dividing. So mdnf means if you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality. A lot of kids are like, why? That doesn't even make sense. Let me show you why. And I'm going to show you the why before we analyze it. It's all about making a true statement. So, I want you to just look at me. Is 1 bigger than negative 3 true or false?
True.
Is 1 bigger than negative 3?
True.
Okay, that's a true statement. Now, algebra tells me that I can multiply things by the same number and it will stay true. Okay, that's what algebra tells me. So if I multiply this by 5 and this by 5, let's see if it's a true statement. What's 5 times 1? 5. Negative 3 times 5?
Negative 15.
Is this true?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a true statement. Well, now let's see what happens if I times, well, let's do another positive. Times 10 times 10. What's 10 times 1?
10.
What's negative 3 times 10?
Negative 30.
Is 10 bigger than negative 30?
Yes.
Okay, so I can multiply by positive numbers, and it's totally fine. Now watch what happens. Whoops. What did we have? Negative 5. Watch what happens
Negative 3.
if we do a negative. So let's times through by negative 10. What's negative 10 times 1?
Negative 10.
Right? Negative 10. What's negative 3 times negative 10?
30.
30. Is negative 10 bigger than 30?
No.
No. What happens when you times through by a negative, it creates a false statement. And when it creates a false statement, in order to turn it back to a true statement, you have to flip the inequality. Okay? That's the why. You'll never be tested on the why. I just expect you to memorize it. If you ever multiply or divide by a negative, in order to sustain it being a true statement, you have to flip that inequality. Let me just show you one more set of proof. Let's go ahead and times by what? Negative 2. So negative 2 times 1?
Negative 2.
Negative 3 times negative 2?
6.
Is negative 2 bigger than 6?
No.
No, so I have to, in order to turn it into a true statement, you end up flipping the inequality. That's mdnf. If you multiply or divide let's go back up here. So here's how you know if you're going to have to flip the inequality. You're going to get a negative to the left of the variable. If there's a negative to the left of the variable, it means that you're going to have to move it last. So you'll have to flip. I want you to cross that out because that can be a little weird. I never really come across it. I want you to write, if the last thing you do is move the negative, you have to flip it. So if last thing is multiplying or dividing a negative, flip. mdnf. Multiply, divide by a negative, flip it. mdnf it. That's what that means. So mdnf just means flip. So if I say you forgot to mdnf it, what I mean by that is you forgot to flip your inequality. So look for a negative to the left of the variable. Well, oh gosh. Is this all grouped? Oh no. Okay, I gotta ungroup this. Okay, there, done. Is there a negative to the left of, we're looking, I'm trying to show you. Is there a negative to the left of
No.
this one? Yes or no?
No.
Is there a negative to the left?
Oh.
Yes, there is. Okay, so this, I would mdnf it. In the end, I would have to flip the inequality. Otherwise, it's not a true statement. Is there a negative to the left of this one? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, because this is like plus a negative x. That's a negative. The negative's to the left, which means in the end, I have to flip the inequality. Is the negative to the left, this side of the variable?
Yes.
Alex, is it to the left?
You're facing that way.
No, I'm going like this. Is it to the left? Look at my shadow. Is it to the left?
Which one are you looking at?
This one. It's to the left. mdnf it. mdnf that thing. Is it to the left? No, it's totally fine. It's fine what I'm saying. Is it to the left?
Yes.
Left. L. Left.
Are there any to the right?
Maybe. I honestly don't remember. Hey, is there any negatives here?
No.
I would not mdnf it.
No, you would not.
You only mdnf if there's a negative to the left. And mdnf means flipping. Flip the inequality. Is there a negative to the left?
Yes.
Left.
What was on the left and right?
You only care about the left. Uh-oh. No.
Yes.
No, because look at plus plus.
Ah.
So it just turns to 3
Try to
plus
trip it.
that. This is not an mdnf. What about this one? What's negative 3 times negative x?
Negative x.
No, positive 3x. Do I have to flip a positive? Yes or no?
No.
No, because mdnf means if you multiply or divide by a negative, you flip the inequality. I don't care about positives. Okay? Tatiana.
So it always has to be a true statement.
Has to be